My name is Rosie Abella, and I am the Samuel and Judith Pisar Chair. I am thrilled to be a visiting professor here at the law school. I was somebody who just took each step as it came and planned nothing except the fact that I was going to be a lawyer. And the reason I was going to be a lawyer was because my father was a lawyer. So here's the story. My parents are Polish, Jewish people who got married on September the 3rd, 1939 in Poland, the day World War II officially started. My father was a graduate with a master's in law from Jagiellonian Law School in Krakow. He never got to practice law in Poland because he finished the 8 years of his legal education in 1938, and the war started in 1939. They ended up spending several years, most of the war in fact, in concentration camps. By the end, my father ended up in Theresienstadt, and my mother and her mother ended up in Buchenwald. But he didn't want to stay in Germany and applied to Canada, where we eventually were admitted. And one of the first things that my father did was go to the Law Society in Toronto to ask what tests he had to write to become a lawyer, because he had written tests for the Americans, and they told him that he was not able to even write the tests because he couldn't be a lawyer in Canada unless he was a citizen. My reaction was anger, even at 4, that he couldn't be what he wanted to be. And that was the moment I decided that I wanted to be a lawyer. There's a Tin Pan Alley songwriter named Sammy Cahn, and somebody once said to him, "Mr. Cahn, what came first, the words or the music?" And he said, "The phone call." And that essentially was my career. I got a phone call in 1976. It was the chief judge of the family court who said, "Would you like to be a family court judge?" And then the phone rang again. Did I want to do a royal commission to see whether Canada should have affirmative action for 62% of the population? The question was, what does equality mean? The Royal Commission report was equality in employment. And there was no framework unless I figured out what equality was. So I created the possibility of a concept which said that equality meant acknowledging and accommodating people's differences so that they could be treated as equals and not subject to arbitrary exclusions based on stereotypes. Within a year of its being released, the federal government passed the Employment Equity Act, requiring federally regulated employers to implement it. So they used my words. It was the arc of my life, the words that had kept my father out of the ability to practice law in Canada. My words were used to strike down that provision 40 years later, doing a royal commission everyone told me not to do. My life is the story of luck, of just good luck, that starts in a displaced persons camp in Germany and ends up coming to Canada as a refugee and ending up as the first Jewish woman on the Supreme Court of Canada. That is not an arc any of us saw coming, but I know how lucky I am to be here and to have had the chance to do everything that I did that ended up getting me here. The professional families have been and continue to be life-affirming for me, but the life of my heart is my family.